My goal today is to inspire you to read the book Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. Now, admittedly, this is like my 200th millionth take of trying to record this video. Every time I get it recorded, something cool happens and I've got to add it to the video. And to be 100% honest with you, I'm not that good at editing videos yet. So I'm trying to do this all in one take. So bear with me, have patience with me. This book is phenomenal. And the way that I know this book is phenomenal is that so many other authors quote the studies found in this book. Carol Dweck, who wrote Mindset, quotes Daniel Kahneman. Jordan Peterson, I think he wrote the 12 Rules for Life as well as many other books. He's all over YouTube. He quotes Daniel Kahneman. Chris Voss, who is one of the nation's best hostage negotiators, wrote the book Never Split the Difference. He quotes Daniel Kahneman. Okay, so a lot of people are reading this book and quoting this book. What really stood out to me is a couple of days ago, one of my coworkers actually told me that she was able to get this book from the local Vista library, and that there are 56 other people waiting in line behind her to get access to this book. So this book is incredibly insightful and helpful. It's not your typical novel with a villain and a plot and a subplot and a hero and all those other kinds of things, but it still is a bit of a page turner. Now, my coworker did say the first chapter seemed a little long and boring to her, so you might want to bypass that and get right into the meat and potatoes. She was reminding me of all kinds of amazing insights that this book provides. The way I found this book was from reading another book called The Undoing Project by Michael Lewis. That book is somehow heavily connected to the movie Moneyball and the way that professional sports scouts now do their scouting. So I think that goes right back to Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. If there was a main subject of this book, I would say the main subject of this book is to never trust your gut, because it's wrong, always. He wants you to think differently. He definitely talks about the fact that we have two different brains. The brain that we use to handle our day-to-day repetitive actions, and then we have the brain that we use to tackle and solve more complex problems and equations in our lives, more of the decision making. And another very common thing that they talk about in the book is what you see is all there is. What you see is all there is. That's just the way that life goes. We grew up with the phrase, what you see is all there is, or what you see is what you get. He took it to the next level. What you see is all there is. That has really helped me to tackle different problems in a different way, knowing that what I see is all there is. So this particular book will help you in all of your relationships, with your spouse, with your kids, with your bosses, if you're a manager or you're managing a team, with the group that you lead or the group that you manage. It'll give you insight into how they think, insight to how you think. If you're at all into gambling or betting or risk assessment, risk analysis, this book has a ton of insights into those fields. And a lot of cool experiences and stories found about betting, gambling, and how people come to their assessments of risk. One of the things that gets a lot of people to read this book are these two particular questions that I ask people on a regular basis. Going back to the Old Testament, how many of each species did Moses bring on the ark? Right? So that's question number one. How many of each species did Moses bring on the ark? And the answer that you thought of is most likely wrong. And if you go read the book, you'll figure out where you made your mistake. The second question is a little bit more complex. It might take a little bit of math, a little bit of algebra on your part. A ball and a bat together cost $1.10. The bat is exactly $1 more than the ball. How much is the ball? So again, a bat and a ball together cost $1.10. The bat is exactly $1 more than the ball. How much is the ball? And again, you probably came up with the wrong answer. Your immediate answer was probably not the right one. So go read the book, you'll get the right answer. There's a study early in the book that clearly shows as we think and work to solve equations, our pupils get bigger. So again, they did a study on this particular phenomena, and they had a bunch of graduate students come in and put their heads in the little contraption that tests our eyes, and they were measuring how big the pupils got as they were asked equations. And as they were involved in solving the equations, the pupils got bigger and bigger. Conversely, when they quit trying to solve the equation, their pupils immediately went back to their normal size. And it kind of tripped out a lot of the students because they were able to immediately say, oh, you just quit trying, didn't you? And the students were left wondering, how did they know that? But it was because they were monitoring their pupils, and when they quit, the pupils went back to their regular size. But the story that really, I think, had the most impact to me has to do with what works better, positive reinforcement or pointing out the mistakes that someone made and making them feel bad for it. And Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman did a number of studies and were able to prove that without a doubt, people will always respond and perform better with support, encouragement, positive reinforcement, way more so than with pointing out the mistakes, belittling them, making them feel less than for their mistakes. And they had the opportunity to present this data to the Israeli Air Force. And it was really interesting how one of the commanding officers stood up and said, hey, that sounds fantastic. Your data sounds remarkable, but I've been leading men into and out of war for the last 30 years, and I've had a completely different finding. And you'll have to read the book because I can't really do the story justice, but at the end of the day, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky were able to clearly illustrate for that commanding officer just how important it is to continuously give positive praise and support and feedback to our team members, our employees, our employers, our spouses, and our children, because it yields a far better return. As mentioned early in this video, my main objective is to inspire you to read this book. I got a lot out of this book. I continue to get a lot out of this book. I hope you take the time to read this book. Whether you're a first-time reader or someone that reads a lot, I'd love to get your insight into the things that stood out to you about this book. I'd love to have you share those in the comments down below so that we can all collect and gather these thoughts and hopefully live a better life. Thank you again for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks, bye.